Hello, everyone. Welcome to our day 5 of our webinar on Power BI, Business Analytics with Power BI, so showing our insights. So we've gone through 4 days of doing visualizations, so showing how we can use DAX formulas. Then we also showed some features. We also looked at Power BI technologies, so our various Power BI technologies. Then we also did some visualization, imported an external visual. So today, what we are going to focus on today is building a financial simulator using what if analysis on Power BI desktop. Let's quickly get to it. But before we start building our simulator, we'll just see some key parameters that we want to build the simulator on. So first of all, we want to build a financial simulator that we want to see the impact of our expenses, of the items we sell, and of our revenues. What is the impact on net income? So if we increase a particular parameter by some certain percentage, what is the impact on our net income? So that is what we are going to look at today. So before we look at that, let's quickly just show our numbers. So what are our current numbers? Let's quickly show that. Okay, for example, let's show our expenses. We are going to place our expenses on the red background. So we'll pick a card visual. Then expense amount. So we'll go to our expense measures. We'll pick out expenses. So that is 34 million. So we will just modify this chart. We remove the background. We take out the background. We change the color to the font color. So to white. Then our data label, our category this time, we are going to leave it. We're going to leave our category so we can just use that to label it. Label this particular card. Then our data label now, we'll adjust it a bit. Let's make this, let's say 30. So I can just adjust this card in. And we can decide to make this maybe 2 decimal place. 2 decimal. Okay. 34.09. Okay, so this is our expenses. So we duplicate this card. So into 4 places. And just place them on each box. So on the second box, we are going to show our item sold. So come to sales measures, then pick item sold. We show that on the second box. Item sold. But this, let's make this data label, let's make this none. Then decimal place, we change it to 0. Okay. So item sold. Then the next, we are going to show our revenues right here. Okay, these are our revenues here. We'll take our expenses and bring in revenue. So these are revenue here. So the next thing now is to show our net income. So net income, we have that net income is expense, revenue minus expense. So I don't think we have that measure here. So let's just quickly create that new measure. We'll call it net income. Net income is equal to, let's call up revenue. Revenue minus expenses. Okay. Let's change this format to currency. Let's just make it Naira straight away. Okay. We'll take out expenses and bring in net revenue. Yeah. So the next one is income to expense ratio. So that is net income to expense ratio. This is just to gauge the performance of our business. So if your income to expense ratio is positive, then your business is you are doing well in terms of your business. So your business is profitable, likely. So we'll call this income to expense ratio. Call up our income measure. Is it okay? This item, so sorry. Net income over expenses. So that will give us our income to expense ratio, and it's in percentage. Let's just make this 0 decimal place. So I bring the income to expense ratio right here, so 128%. Due to the fact that this income to expense ratio is big, so we can decide to highlight all our cards. Oh, sorry. Let's highlight all the cards. Right. Then we can go to our format, not data label, category. So let's change it to 11 or 10. Good to see. Okay, 11 is fine. So again, we will try and align this, our charts. Okay, let's see if I can align our charts. So go to format, go to format. Go to format. Then on our format, we will go to align. We'll align top. So just to get everything aligned. Just to get everything aligned. So the next thing is to start with our simulations. The first thing we want to do is to create a parameter. So how do we create a parameter on Power BI? We'll go to we will go to modeling, then new parameter. New parameter. Then we call this SIM. Let's create this parameter for expenses. Call this SIM expenses, right? So we'll make this a decimal number. Then our minimum here, we want to go from minus 100% to 100%. So our minimum here will be -1, while our maximum will be 1. That's minus 100% to 100%. Then we will do an incremental of 0.02. Yeah, that is 2% incremental. Then our default value, 0. Then we allow add slicer to this page. Yes, we leave it ticked. I'll click OK. Okay, you can see it here. We have this here now. So let's create another parameter for item sold. So go to modeling, new parameter. We call this SIM underscore items sold. Same thing, decimal number from -1 to 1, then increment to be in 0.02, that is 0.2. Then our default value is 0. Click on OK. Then the next one will be our price per item. Price per item or price. So we'll go to new parameter. So we'll do price, let's call it price per item. Sim price per item, that is by simulating price per item. So this also decimal number from -1 to 1, then incremental is 0.02, then our default value is 0. Then we'll click on OK. This is also good to go. The next thing we are going to do now is to bring a card in. So because our value can really get too small inside this box, I won't be able to see it. So we'll bring a card in to actually show that value. Before that, let's quickly highlight this our slicers and just quickly do some formatting. So I go to format. I take out the background. So for my slicer headers, I'll still take this out later, but let me just change the color to font color to white, but I'll still take it out later. So this is good for now. So if you say I can adjust, or let me also go to my input. Let me change the font color to white. My input. So as I adjust this, you can see that the values are changing in there. But what I'm saying is decimal. So I want to change this decimal. I want to change this decimal to percentage. So how do I do that? So I come to all my simulators. So I select these two, for instance. Okay, let me go to my model where we can change everything at once. So I select these two first. I show it in percentage format. So show in percent. I click on percentage format. So change to percent. I come to this next two. Select the two. Then change to percentage format. Let me scroll down a bit. Okay, percentage format right here. Then I go to price per item, select the two simulations. I also on my percentage format. So let's just quickly take a look at what we have created. Let's go to the simulation tables. Sim expenses. You can see from 100% to minus 100% to 100%. Now we can see that they are now in percentages here, but these figures are they are too small. It might be very difficult for someone to really see all these figures in there. So what we are going to do is to bring a card in and place these figures on top. So let's just bring a card. Click on a card. Okay. Card, yeah. Okay. Card is here. So I'm going to work with expenses now. For expenses, I'll bring my same expense value and place it on the card. So it's showing that this is, you can see 54%, same 54% here. Then I'll just format this. I change the size from 45 to like, let's say 25. So, or 25 is still too small. Let's say 30, for instance. 30. Okay. And I'll make this, the decimal place, I'll make it 0. 0 decimal place. So decimal places, I'll make it 0. Then I'll remove the category. This is the category label. So I take it off. Then I resize this. Okay. I resize this. The font color, the data color as well, I change it to white. Then I remove background. I remove the background. So that gives me my percentage for expenses. So I just place it close to it. Place it close to it. I do the same thing for items sold and price per item. I just take this same card, just copy, paste, paste twice. So bring this here, bring this here. Right. Let's try and align. So we'll still try and align this later. So for the item sold, I'll go to item sold and bring the value. Put the value on the card. Take expenses out, then put item sold there. Then for price per item, I do the same thing. I go to price per item, take expenses out, and put in price per items there. So you can see that when I adjust anything related to the card, so it changes on the card also. So it changes. Like I adjust this to 40% now, it changes to 40%. So the next step now is to calculate our simulation, the outcome of our simulation, the values themselves. That is the outcome now. Now we are going to calculate what the outcome of expense would be if we increase expense by some certain percentage. So let me take this back to 0. I can just click in there and type in 0. So it takes it back, expenses back to 0. So before I do that, I'll create another table. That's just a little table that will hold my simulation measures. So I just call this simulator. Call this simulator, then load it. Load the table. Okay, I'll see it here shortly. Okay, so the simulator table is loaded. It's just down here. We put our first measure in there. So on the simulator table. So new measure, So we want to simulate what expense will be. Okay. So we call it SIM expenses. That is simulator expenses or simulation expenses. That will be equal to, I'll call off my expenses. Call off my expenses. Then I multiply my expenses by the value, by 1 plus the value for my simulation. So 1 plus same expense value. So this is what I'm interested in, same expense value. And I close the bracket. Enter. So let's just put a card in there and see. Let's take this same card for expenses. Put it here. See. So we'll bring our simulated expenses here. You can see this 34.09. This is also 34.09. This is because expenses is at 0%. I've not changed. So what if I increase expenses by 10%? You can see that this has increased from 34 million to 37 million. Nice. So I'm going to do the same thing for items sold, right? But before I do that, just going to move my simulator measure to the top. So I hide this column, hide. Hide this column. Then I close my fields and open it back. So that moves the simulator measure to the top. Close the fields, open it back. So this has moved my simulator measure to the top. So the next thing I will do now is to create the simulator that is sim item sold. So I'll go to new measure. New measure. So the measure is coming up. Okay. Call this sim underscore items sold. Okay. So as I did for expense also, this will be items sold multiplied by open bracket 1 plus square bracket open sim, call my simulator sim item sold value, right? Sim item sold value. Then I enter. Okay. So the same thing, let's test it. Bring this up here. Okay. Let me adjust this a bit just to fit. Bring this up here. Then we change it from items sold to the simulator to sim items sold. Okay. Okay, this is giving us 3.7, of course, because if you see here, we brought it to 48, brought it down by 48%. But what if we take it back to 0%? Let me just type in 0. You can either type it in or you use the scroller. So let me just type in 0. So we'll go back to 7.2. Okay. So the next one that we are going to do is simulator for revenue. So for revenue, we have to put in all the things that impact this revenue. Let's quickly do that. You see, nice new measure. So we know that the price per item and the cost per item, or the number of the price per item and the number of items sold impacts the revenue of that item. So we call this sim underscore revenues. That will be equal to, we call up our revenue number multiplied by 1 plus, we call up our simulator for items sold. Yeah. Close the bracket. Then we multiply this again. Open the bracket. 1 plus price per item. That is sim price per item value. Sorry, this is sim items sold value. Yeah, second one. So our sales and our cost per item impacts revenue. Now price per item, sorry, impacts revenue. Okay. So let's duplicate this card. For revenue. And let's take out revenue and bring in our simulation for revenue. You can see that this dropped to 46 million. That is because we've taken down price by 40%. So let's just make this 0. Let's see what happens. 0. Then you see that it comes up as the same thing. So the next thing is to look at our net simulator for our net income. So we call it new measure. We call it sim net income. Sim net income. SIM net income. That will be equal to sim revenue that we just calculated minus sim expenses. So your expenses minus revenue gives you your net income. Sim revenue minus sim expenses. Okay. I copy this card as well. Just duplicate the chart, the card. Okay. I bring in my sim net income. Okay. Okay. Why is it lower than 43 million? Here is 40. That is because we've increased expenses by 10%. We increased it before. What if we take it back to 0? Right? So that should give us 43.65 million. Yes, great. The next thing we are going to do is to do like, okay, what is the change in income? That is the difference between this net income and the simulated net income. So let's just do that. new measure. We want to take, so we call this change change in income. In income, that will be equal to square bracket simulated net income minus net income. That will give us the change in net income, or the variance. We are going to create another measure to calculate the percentage change, right? So let's just copy this same measure, go to new measure. Okay. Or we can do and just okay, percentage change in income. That will be what? That will be our change in income divided by our previous income. That is our net income. Yeah. So make this percentage. Make it percentage. So this is really this is interesting, very interesting. So copy this. Just duplicate this card. Then we bring the percentage change in income right here. So it's definitely 0% because we've not adjusted anything. So this is your simulator. Let's just test how it works before we start formatting our chart. Let's say, for example, I reduce my expenses. Let me say I reduce my expenses by 10%. So you can see that I have a leap of 7.81% in change in income because I've reduced my expenses. And I reduced my expenses and I kept every other parameter flat. Just by reducing expenses, I'm getting more profitable, you know? So the next thing is to show you, let's do a KPI. So the same KPI we did for, I think that was in our expenses. So let's do a KPI that if it's positive, if it has a positive impact, it should give us green. A negative impact, it should give us so red or something. And if it's zero, no impact, it should be flat. So let's use that our switch statement. So if anyone can remember, let's call this net income KPI. That will be equal to switch, yeah, true, switch true. Then we'll start entering all our parameters. True. Then what is our first parameter? If, okay, switch change in income. Change in income. If change in income is less than zero, that is it's negative. So what should it give us? What should it return? We'll go to Windows dots to put an emoji there. Let's search. That is negative. Negative should be something like red. Okay, let's put this there. A rectangular triangle pointing down. Then comma. Go to the next line. Change in income greater than 0. And you should return. So Windows dot. And you should return which emoji? Let's look for a green emoji. So a green emoji. Okay, let's use this. Oh, this. This is like a good scoreboard. Let's see if we can see something better. Okay, I think this is better. Just this. Because the way this is even displaying, it's not okay. Green. Then anything else. So what if it's flat? If it's 0, so just return flat. Let's look for what is flat. Okay. So okay, let's just use this minus sign for flat. So we close and we enter. All right.